Listen. In the era of staying 6 feet apart, what better Netflix flick than the one that has them wearing masks over their eyes instead? It follows the events of the first one, where Joey King breaks every rule her and her best friend have set for each other, and that includes dating his brother. So for the sequel, she continues that trend of causing more trouble than she did back when she was on Zach and Cody.
This stinks.
Let me explain. So while the sequel is goofier, I will give it that it has a better and much crazier story for what it's worth. They have a bigger budget now, so the Netflix logo goes from being on the side of a building to the Hollywood Hills as they Watchmen who? Summer's over, so Noah's gone off to Harvard while Elle finishes her senior year, hoping that Noah doesn't let someone else enter his arc. And obviously, she should be concerned since this boy didn't even turn back.
Think she'll turn around?
No, that's not Margot.
She's alone, posted up where she was posted up, as Noah tries to convince her that only she can make him feel euphoric. In fact, he wants to ship her his way, pitching her to apply at Harvard, even though one of the rules her and Lee have had is to go to the same college together. Since they were 6, this man already took his brother's girl, now he's taking his dreams.
Did you tell that idiot you're not rooming with him next year?
Not yet.
All right, we better. That guy's the fucking anti-poon.
That said, Elle also has a track record.
Rule number 6. If you can't tell your best friend about something you're doing, you probably shouldn't be doing it.
And if I didn't, what would be the point in telling Lee now and getting him upset over nothing?
Elle pursues Harvard as she lives in a world where they actually inquire about her subscribers.
How many subscribers?
37.
37,000. We can work with that.
No. 37.
I guess these did replace my diplomas. Jokes aside, I said it in Control Z, we're mere decades away from taking a nosedive into Black Mirror territory.
Thank you. Thank you.
Obviously, it's not just getting into Harvard that's a struggle, it's paying for it, even though they do let her redo her essay, so it's practically like they're writing her script. And manipulation isn't something that's new for Noah.
The days of you controlling my life are over.
We'll see about that.
However, I have seen growth in this man, and I'm not talking about him as Nate. In the first, this dude was a player with absolutely no anger management.
Get the car out!
He knocked out Thor with no problem, pummeled a dude at the beach, but then as the story progressed, he did stay faithful, you know? He approached Elle's father to ask for forgiveness and permission, and he got off the roids.
You really do have a problem now. The only problem I have right now is you.
Noah. Boy left him clenching his fist like Arthur, so I'm not saying he's a perfect character. I do like Noah's Arc. But Elle thinks he's shipping more than 2. One of the goofiest parts of the movie was how their iMessage worked like Snapchat. Legit, every time they show a phone in here, there's less history in their convos than on a 13-year-old's browser. Literally, Jacob is the only one who knows how tech works, and, he's not closing his laptop on a call like most movies do. But he does fall into one of the biggest tropes.
Okay, here we go. Chloe Winthrop.
Chloe's the senior at Harvard that all the guys love to hang around. It's Boston, so they're all sore from rowing. They're concert buddies. And really, it's Noah trying to build a relationship with someone like he saw with Elle and Lee, minus all the rules. Supposedly, Noah never stops talking about Elle to all of his boys and even to Chloe, yet they write it so that when it comes time for them to meet, he doesn't even bother introducing her, instead going in and grabbing a handful. It then doesn't help that Elle finds an earring under his bed, and get this, ongoing texts. Meanwhile,
She's on time.
What? Oh, thanks. Go!
Girl, are you 7? Elle falls and also starts crushing on Marco, the new kid at school. We've been mentioning how Netflix is always trying to rekindle the twilight days of Edward versus Jacob as they face off their YA love interests. And it's also just Netflix continuing their trend. I personally didn't mind Marco, especially when you consider how much he helps her, He set aside all this time to train for the dance competition that'll help her win the tuition that she needs. He's mostly respectful. Only thing this man pulls out is his guitar. ¿De dónde? When you really look at it, this boy was playing his guitar on the pier for cash and in Spanish. He even played at his own prom. And yet, from what I know, he never asked for a cut of the $50K.
So I'm using every free hour I have, practicing into the night for this competition that you asked me to help you with, just so I could screw things up for you?
Well, when you put it that way...
In my opinion, I'd say the biggest theme in both movies is communication, or the lack thereof. But it's the kissing booth, and they only use their mouths for one thing. That said, Elle has literally no receipts proving that her man is cheating, but she decides to do so on a live broadcast? She had just made plans with Noah to talk things out, and then falls into Marco's arms like she just yelled polo. But at least, she finally has someone who will be there for her and cares for her.
But you're not the one.
Bruh, Netflix. Again?
And why Elle did what she did.
Because she's dishonest.
Now, I find it interesting that the director who's handling the whole trilogy has a similar background as the best friends, so he knows that things get messy as they get older. But with Lee, literally the worst part about him is that he's too loyal of a friend.
It's like with Rachel. What if I didn't like having her around? What would you do then?
I guess I'd break up with her.
Man didn't even hesitate to put her first. And he continues it here. He fakes an injury so that his friend can have an MVP stepper and get the money she needs for college. Dude runs from what felt like one school to another to stop her babbling when probably could have just called her. But no matter what, this dude always puts Elle before I. In the first, the only reason she gave them space was because, let me rewind. Oh yeah, she was cheating with her best friend's brother behind his back. Elle's that person who quotes the rules when it's convenient for her.
No matter how mad you are at your best friend, you have to forgive them if they give you ice cream.
But slip up and it's...
Okay, listen to me, Lee. We made up our rules when we were 6.
Wow, how convenient.
What are you saying?
Fucking that.
Meanwhile, Lee's consistent. When his best friend, who's broken a dozen of their personal rules and probably a handful of the commandments, approaches him about finding her happiness, even if it might be a mistake, this boy puts his differences to the side and gave his brother his Halloween costume to surprise her. And almost crashed. Crazy part is, this dude still didn't break the rules. He circumvented a rule number 18 in order to cancel out a previously established one, just to make sure his friend was happy.
She said something about rule number 18 or whatever.
Rule number 18.
But now that her happiness is away in college... Boy, dude is more loyal to his In-N-Out than he is his girlfriend. And that's bogus, because Rachel's a solid character. In the first, she was having her little prom moment in front of everyone and chased after Elle to try and comfort her. Hell, she was there for her man before he was even her man.
The only reason I ever talked to that dork was to make sure I could get his brother to come to the booth tonight. I guess I'm next.
Now they're playing co-op while she's single players in the back. He's leaving her stranded at movie premieres. He legit had her walk home alone.
Bye.
Feel better.
Thanks.
And I still can't get over the fact that she heard her man say this in the first one.
It's like with Rachel. What if I didn't like having her around? What would you do then?
I guess I'd break up with her.
No, you see...
And she wouldn't leave. The worst part is them switching up their Halloween costumes and not even letting her know. They left this poor girl looking like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man as they cross streams on the dance floor. And still, Elle goes, I don't know what I did wrong.
She's dishonest.
Well, I get that she had a lot of things in her mind. I mean, when you go back to the first, your boy straight up told you.
Rule number 18. Always be happy for your bestie's successes. For me, that one has always been easy to follow.
Bet. I'm sure that's why you literally picked bros before bros. Now I hope no one ever feels as unwanted in a place like Elle does in this house right here. They're having Thanksgiving dinner, but everyone's more spiteful than being thankful. Her best friend is heartbroken. His girl has had enough with her. Her boyfriend, who she just cheated on, brings the girl he told her not to worry about. It is not a pretty sight to be Elle right now as everything just climaxes.
I always just figured we'd be number one forever.
Like I said, I do think the story in the sequel is better, but I do feel it just continues to pit Elle in a hole of her own mistakes, just for the sake of drama. Like pretty much each installment has her having an inclination, acting upon it, keeping it a secret till it becomes a lie, and then having everyone forgive while she doesn't forget. Now, I don't know how they're gonna continue the kissing booth during college for the third one, or they're just going to use COVID as an excuse. But in the second, they actually expand on one of the side storylines involving the character of Ali. He had a very minor role in the first, but they finally give my man some stuff to say.
Hey. Hi.
And he ends up having the biggest moment in the event. Rachel and Lee, who met at the kissing booth, reignite their flame there once again as Noah texts Elle for the first time, and they meet at their kissing gazebo, re-devoting themselves to each other as Marco stares in contempt and exclaims,
It's not worth it. Yes, she is.
That said, nothing will ever beat the original kissing booth.
Yeah.
You don't have to flirt with her first, okay, genius? You're paying for it.
Why don't you just relax?
Thank you guys for checking out this video. I'm curious to know your thoughts on the third. You pretty much got three options. One, if she goes to Harvard, then she betrays Lee once again, which I feel like that's the way it's going to go. But there's also the idea of her going to Berkeley, which would not only be her social distancing from Noah, but poor Rachel. Honestly, they've already taken a couple cues from To All the Boys, so I wouldn't be surprised if they come up with the Netflix original idea of her going her own way, but we'll see. I heard people thinking that Marco and Chloe should end up together, even though he's barely going to be a freshman in college, and she would have graduated Harvard.
I want to see her and Elle, like, you know, I want to see that relationship develop. I want to see how she interacts with, you know, Marco. That'd be so fun.
Please.
They've already filmed the third one, supposedly, because everyone knows that you can't film stuff in COVID, but they magically snuck it in there. But I'm curious to see what you guys think about this one, which one you liked more, what you think the funniest bit was. I think it's so interesting that, like, they went from Emmy-nominated original series to, you know, paying the bills, right? I can't even flag it. Like, the first one was written on Wattpad by a 15-year-old, and now she's banking off of a motion picture trilogy, so that's it's a little bit of a flex, you know? I'm curious to know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Let me know what other movies you want us to cover, be it on Netflix, streaming, or anything else. And until next time, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and stream Cayucas.